Alrighty, folks. Today we're looking at 3 stratagems that you should avoid taking into your missions. Now, if we take a look at these stratagems, I think almost all of them are usable, depending on how your playstyle is and what team comp you're bringing in. But we're looking at 3 specifically today that are either outclassed almost entirely or ones that are difficult to get the value out of. And you only get to take 4 in to each match, so you want to take some good ones in. So we're going to go through 3 stratagems that you should avoid. Coming in at our number 3 spot of stratagems you should avoid taking into missions with you, it is the Lift 850 jump pack. Now, the Lift 850 jump pack does seem cool, especially in a game where there's not a jump button. It's kind of cool just to have that little boost. You can get over stuff easy, you can dart to the side away from enemies, you could jump over chargers like they show in the little video. But overall, you're giving up your backpack slot for something that doesn't give you any extra firepower in the fight, doesn't really give you any extra protection. The mobility is nice, but the burst little jump that you only get one, and then you gotta wait for it to cool down. So it's just not practical most of the time. If you're running away from stuff in a straight line, you don't need it because you can almost run just as fast if you just keep going. And it's just not worth sacrificing such a stratagem slot and a backpack slot to bring this in there and just not get much use out of it. If it had a couple jumps in a row that you could make before it had to recharge, or if it had some sort of hovering, you could hover for a couple seconds or something, it would be more usable. But it's just a spectacle at this point, really not something you should be taking in. The mobility bonus is nice in a game where I would take mobility over armor pretty much every time, but that's just not enough for it to be usable. I mean, think of all the better backpacks you could take. This one is not going to stack up against those. So that's our number 3 slot. Alright, our number 2 slot for stratagems you should avoid is the B1 supply pack. Now, I couldn't put this one at number 3 or number 1 because it does have some uses. It is cool to be able to refill your teammates' ammo without having to call in the supply drop. If a supply drop is called in, you can stock the extra ones in your backpack and take them with you. But this backpack, again, it's taking up your backpack slot, first of all, which, how many more things would you rather have there? And it's taking up a stratagem slot. And the big thing is you're going to have the resupply stratagem regardless. And it's not on that absurd of a cooldown, so the majority of the time, even on higher difficulty missions where you can't find ammo as easily, or maybe you're in a smaller squad where you're running through ammo faster, you can just wait for that resupply to come up. I mean, there's so many situations where I'm sitting here with the backpack on full of ammo and I'm still seeing ammo on the ground, or I'm sitting here with the backpack full of ammo and we have this resupply ready. So you're really wasting this unless you're planning around it. You have a 4-man team and somebody's carrying a backpack and the other guys are carrying weapons that run through ammo quickly or something like that, because taking this over something like the Rover, or just taking this over the ammo pack for one of your teammates' tertiary weapons even, if they're taking an autocannon or a recoilless or something, you're really just going to get better use out of that. I mean, I don't see too many situations where the supply pack comes in handy. So maybe extremely high difficulties where there's no ammo, but other than that, just pick a better backpack. Coming in at our number 1 spot for stratagems you should be avoiding, it is the Tesla Tower. Now, I probably don't have to say too much about this Tesla Tower, but at the same time, I could put together an entire video of mishaps with this thing. The A/Arc 3 Tesla Tower, short call-in time of only 3 seconds and a short cooldown time too of only 150, but even that is not enough to make this viable. This thing, it's just so not good, guys. The range on it is massive, first off, which you would think is great, but is such a hindrance because you don't know where that range is. So you'll get zapped right on the edge of it, or one of your teammates will get zapped right on the edge of it. And without an indicator of some sort, a line on the ground or something, this thing is just too dangerous to use. Even pinging it and letting your teammates know that it's there is not going to be enough to keep them from getting zapped by this thing. And on top of that, it says to avoid friendly fire, remain prone. I've been zapped by this thing while prone, so I don't know what the deal is. This thing is just not good. I mean, let's be honest, it's just not good at all. You're taking it as a stratagem spot, as a turret, where you could just take a Gatling turret or a mortar or an autocannon or something more effective. You know, you're taking it knowing that it's going to be a liability, you know. And a lot of times end up having to just destroy this thing, you know, just to shoot it to destroy it, just to get it out of the way of places, and, you know, retrieve samples from when it's previously team killed. So this thing just really is not good at all. Some improvements that could be made to actually make it usable. First off, an indicator on the ground. Like I said, it needs an indicator of the range, because that's the only way you and your team are going to not get killed by it. And second, preferably with an indicator still, but in place of an indicator, it could have like a 270 or like a 250 degree radius that it zaps instead of 360. So you could maybe place it and then stand beside it on one side and be safe. But in its current configuration, it's just too much of a liability, and it's so outclassed by every other sentry. I mean, just take a better sentry with you and drop it. So if you've got some use out of this Tesla tower, or you've seen someone using it effectively, let me know. I know it could cut off, you know, little passages or something, or cut off one side and keep the bugs at bay. And I did have one clip when I was testing this where I dropped it and it ended up racking up to like a 35 kill streak or something without me even being next to it before it got taken down, which is good for the bugs because they're going to charge it anyway. But I struggle to even think of a situation where I wouldn't just take a sentry turn over this. So, or like a Gatling, or even the MG probably is just as good. But that's a must avoid stratagem for sure. I expect some sort of change to come in the future to make this more viable, because I don't think anyone's getting use out of it. Alrighty folks, so that's our top 3 stratagems to avoid taking into missions. Going through them again real quick, we've got at the number 3 slot the jump pack. Now again, the jump pack, offering mobility in this game is really nice. It's usually what you're relying on, but only getting one charge to jump with it before it has to recharge is not very good at all. And no hovering, no significant speed boost from it. Taking it over something like the Rover backpack or something else, the Shield backpack, is just not viable. There's really no reason you should be using this. Coming in at our number 2 spot, it is the supply pack. Now the supply pack, like I said, it has some redeeming factors. You could plan around it, especially in a 4-man team, and have people not worry about their ammo as much, not worry about when the resupply is on cooldown. But still, just same thing as the jump pack, you're giving up your backpack slot for something that shouldn't be too much of a problem. You know, you can find ammo all over the place. Just call in your resupply whenever your team's getting low. It'll drop ammo for everybody. So not a great backpack, but still could get some good uses out of it. And coming in at our number 1 spot, it is right here, the Tesla tower. Guys, really, like, your teammates are not going to be happy when they see you picking the Tesla tower. There's almost no reason to take this over just any other sentry that is better. I mean, which is all of them essentially. But, you know, maybe you could come up with some way to get some uses out of it. I think there's going to have to be a buff to this before it's really usable at all. Or at least some changes with the UI to see an indicator of its range and stuff like that. So, either way, those are our top 3 stratagems to avoid. If you've somehow got some better use out of them than I've been able to get, let me know. But mainly there's not that many redeeming factors here on these guys. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope this video helps you out picking your stratagems, especially for 4-man games. And have some fun out there. We're going to look at the honorable mentions real quick here. First off, the shield generator relay. Now, this thing is pretty decent against the bots, but it's almost entirely useless against the bugs. It pops up a little shield that protects you from projectiles, which is cool. You and your team can set it in or whatever. But the thing is, it's a limited time span that it's up. So it doesn't have some sort of health bar or anything like that. It's once you put it down, the clock's ticking, and it's just not very ideal because you're limiting your mobility, and mobility seems to be one of the biggest aspects of this game. Maybe if you're defending an evac or something and you're able to hold off the bots, but useless against bugs and just not that great overall. Wish it was better. I don't really know what they could do to make it too much better, or it's going to be overpowered. So I understand the reason it's balanced like it is, but still not the best. Our other honorable mention is this ballistic shield backpack. Now you see, I haven't got this unlocked, and I do use the SMG a lot, so I could potentially get some one-handed use out of that. But this just giving up your backpack slot for a shield does not seem beneficial. It is cool, it's a cool concept, but again, hard to make it too strong without it being overpowered, and hard to make it really usable in a game where mobility is so important. So not really sure. I have seen one video of someone taking the shield in and having good effect with it. I'll try to link that in the comments or in the description, because maybe there's some use cases for this. Maybe one out of your team could run this and kind of stand in the front, but it just doesn't seem very practical with the way this game is now and how important mobility is, and more importantly, how important your backpack slot is. I mean, putting the shield generator backpack on here instead of using this just seems like a complete upgrade. So those are our two honorable mentions. I would still avoid them, obviously, but there may be some use cases you could get out of them. Not exactly sure the extent that they'll be changed in the future, but cool stratagems, just not quite as bad, I guess you could say, as our top 3 list.